Welcome to the Grace Space, a transmission for the sovereign soul.
This is, and anyone who has done this to any degree and has seen the results for themselves in their own lives would agree with me when I say this is the best kept secret around. And it is a powerful, powerful tool for transformation, but in particular to end unconscious suffering. As long as you're in a time-space continuum, the truth is you're going to be in a matrix, but you don't have to be a slave to it. Again, it's this idea of conscious and unconscious suffering. Conscious suffering, unconscious suffering.
Lucid dreaming in your
Yes,
mind.
you can navigate your way through the matrix with the odds stacked in your favor for a change, right? Not in theirs, because you're bringing your awareness to every moment, and you are untouchable. You are untouchable when you bring that light of consciousness to every moment of your life.
Well, that changes the game, doesn't it? I mean,
Exactly.
the moment you become a conscious participant in this,
Exactly.
aware of who you are, you are no longer a pawn on the board being moved around by forces you don't understand. You start to work at the creational level, right?
100%.
And that's the purpose of the FreeMe Portal, in part, is to hook people up with all kinds of different facilitators who are working at this level to help people remember who they are. Hey everyone, real quick before we begin, if this content matters to you, you're warmly invited to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, to leave a comment, or all three. I read all the comments, and your engagement is really important because when you engage, it tells YouTube to push this content out to more people who would find value in it. Now that I understand this, I engage a lot more with the channels that are important to me because I know it really matters. Thanks for listening. Here we go. Welcome back to the Grace Space. Today's one of those conversations that feels less like an interview and more like picking up a conversation that was left off some time ago. There's such a sense of familiarity when I first met Renata, and then she and I realized we had most likely met before. We'd most likely crossed paths years ago in Stratford, long before we consciously understood the threads that were weaving us together to meet again in a very different chapter of life. It was as if when we did, a quiet agreement that was long forgotten, resurfaced between us. And we came together with a kind of kinetic joy and laughter, the kind that you experience when you meet somebody that you feel like, oh, I know you. Renata is a classically trained pianist and vocalist, former broadcaster, conductor, and educator. Very impressive. And that is just the visible layer. Beneath that is a lifelong mystic, psychic, spiritual explorer who has walked through music and media and motherhood and the shadow and profound spiritual initiation into the work she does now. In this episode, we explore not only her work with the Unity Bubble, a frequency-based spiritual technology designed to dissolve unconscious suffering and accelerate our remembrance, but we also speak about, and I'm very excited about this, the FreeMe Portal, a new platform Renata has created as a landing space for those who are ready to reclaim their sovereignty and self-actualization in a rapidly shifting world. This is maybe not always light listening, but it is heart-centered and it is filled with laughter. If you've ever felt different, if you've ever sensed that there's more going on here than meets the eye, if you're ready to move from pawn to participant and creator in your own creation, this conversation is for you. Let's enter the unity bubble together. Here we go. Renata, welcome. Welcome to the Grace Space. I'm so thrilled that you're here.
Oh, Claire, I can't even express how happy I am to not only be here, but to have met you and to um, all of a sudden just be on this path with you together. And it's just so exciting. And I can't wait for all of the wonderful things that are going to bloom and blossom from our uh, togetherness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, maybe I'll just briefly tell people that we met, Renata and I, it's funny when you meet people in certain circumstances and you realize you have all this other stuff in common from the past, right? So we feel like before we met in this version, we knew
Mhm.
each other in Canada when I was at Stratford and Renata was visiting Stratford often, and so we think we met way back then, and now we've met under different circumstances. So, Renata, tell everybody a little bit about your background because when I was reading your bio on your website after exchanging with you quite a bit already and knowing about you, when I read all of your life story with your music career and then your broadcasting career and everything that happened, I was blown away
Mm,
by like the genius level of your gifts.
mm,
And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So can you please just give us a little idea of how you grew up and your background and
Well, thank you, Claire. Yeah, it's been quite the road traveled, but same for you, right? I mean, if you're gonna live life to the max, it's going to come at you, give you all those opportunities to explore all of the subjects and the ideas that you need as part of that exploration here that the oversoul orchestrates. And well, I guess the most important one to begin with, I suppose, is the music, because music really kept my brains together and kept me present. And so I started playing the piano at the age of 3.5, and with perfect pitch. I just went up to the piano and started playing it. So it's like having very comfortable on stage. I just went up to the instrument and started playing it. I mean, we bring these gifts from another dimension, another time. So that turned into not one but two degrees as a pianist, a classical pianist, and then I decided that I had mastered the piano, and I felt, the vocalists at the faculty, like we were always playing for the vocalists, right? And we were accompanying them, and I'm like, damn, I want to do that. Yeah. And my mom was an opera singer. So it was around the family, but I was pigeonholed into, no, no, you practice piano. This is what you do, right? And so oddly, in at UT, I got selected to sing a solo in the university. We used to call them the university screamers. We were supposed to be the university singers, but we called ourselves university. It was the screamers are on tonight, everybody. Anyway, so and I looked at the conductor, right? And I said, you realize I'm not in the vocal program. I'm a piano player. And he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you sing. You're gonna sing. I'm like, oh, anyway, I was terrified. But eventually, it all came together, and then I thought, no, I can do this, and so I ended up having a double degree as a pianist, and then I did my degree as a vocalist. So that was a lot of fun, and ended up. So I had a concert series in Toronto for 3-4 years, which was pretty interesting. We were called the Silvestrov Group, and I was honored to be given the right to perform Valentin Silvestrov's work. He's one of the prominent post-Soviet composers. He's still alive, and I hope in living in Berlin and Kiev at the same time. And his music um, is is revolutionary. Anyway, so he gave our group the authority to perform his music in the West, and it was the only group that was given that beautiful possibility, and so that went on for quite a while, and had members of the TSO, um, beautiful, incredible vocalists, soloists. I conducted sometimes the smaller ensembles, and then that grew into me actually conducting the National Orchestra of Ukraine a couple of times, and which is, if you're going to have a human experience, guys, conduct an orchestra. Let me tell you what a rush that is. I can't even, the way that the listening opens up, right? It's like at first all you hear is the violins at the front, and then you kind of like, oh, okay, I can hear some flutes, and I can hear some, and then you start to hear the percussion and the brass, and it's like, and then this whole thing happens. It's like attaining consciousness and on a musical level. So the reason I said that it was the most important is because I feel like that kind of music, aside from them changing the A440 from A432, is probably the purest vibration you're going to get on this planet, right? So I'm lucky to have been involved in that, and then I did sing jazz for some time professionally, and I sang with Royal Opera Canada, which was a wonderful thing. But all of this was going on, Claire, when I had my daughter. She was she was young, and um it was not something, that kind of a career choice was not something you do when you're a young mother, right? So it was not something that I could go into 100%, and which is fine in retrospect, because I'm given given where I've ended up, and I'm really happy that that chapter closed, and it closed with me falling, actually, and pulling all these muscles out of my hand. And so, like, this, yeah, so this finger, I can't play, it just does weird things now. It doesn't look too bad, but like you can see that this one kind of dingle
Oh,
dangles, and so that was
oh. Party tricks now.
part of it. Does all these twisty things, and I won't go into it, but that was the end of that door. Like, it just, and so I went, okay, well, where am I going now? And alongside sort of the winding, down of that, I stepped into television. It was just a weird, somebody I was seeing at the time said, well, why don't you audition? And I ended up getting the part. So it was, I became the host of this Ukrainian television show that was prime time, and it was shown across Canada and in throughout Ukraine. And then I had another show called Body and Soul. So I was interviewing people very much like you're doing here in the Grace Space on all things body and soul related. And then I ended up teaching broadcasting in the school where Jim Carrey went to school. And he wasn't there when I was teaching, but I did speak with some of the facilitators, or they were called directors at the time, who did work with Jim, and he was so shy. And wherever you are, Jim, I love you, babe. He was so shy that he would come in at 6 o'clock at night. He couldn't be in the same class with everybody else, and the directors would come in and work with Jim at 6 o'clock at night when everybody had gone home. That's how he was, so shy, so insecure, could not be in the classroom. And so that went on for a while too. So that was all about TV. Then I had a radio show for a while as well, which was a lot of fun. And then alongside all of that, trying to put food on the table, raise my daughter, um, as best I could on my own. I mean, her dad is very much involved in her life, and I'm very happy that he is. But it's still a one way ticket when you're a single mom.
Mhm.
And through all of that was woven this deeply spiritual psychic and phenomenal, literally phenomenal life with things that were happening all the time. And I was like, wow, okay, where is that coming from? And lots of really, really profound and you might almost say scary things that happen because it's inexplicable to someone who's looking from a 3D perspective, right? Like with nobody around me to share that with that doesn't think you're bonkers.
And was this lifelong? Like, it didn't start spontaneously at certain age or anything. It's just your whole life you've also been extremely psychic and everything else.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
all that. Yeah, all that. And
Did you
yeah,
did you think everybody was like that, or did you at some point go, wait a second, I'm hearing or seeing or feeling things other people aren't?
I looked really, really hard for others. And it wasn't until I was in my sort of early 20s that there was one teacher that I found who was actually a musician, who basically took me under his wing. And he just said, okay, kid, let's go have lunch, you know. And I'm like, okay. And so we sat down at lunch, and I guess he saw something that I didn't see. And he said, okay, I can tell you something right now that will change your life forever. You'll never go back to being the person that you were when you walked into this restaurant. But it will be the most profound thing you will ever learn. And it will set you off on a completely new path in your life. And he said, like, I won't do it unless you agree. And I'm, dude, bring it on. Bring it on. I'm not saying no to that, right? Oh, hell no. So so he proceeded to introduce me to the school of the third way, Gurdjieffanism, um, that kind of stuff. And man, did that ever mess me up for the longest time, right? Because I thought, okay, I'm already weird, but at least I know that there's other people out there that are weird too. So it gave me a lot of hope. So that was my introduction into that, and then there was this sort of Buddhist kind of interweaving I've mentioned to you before, um, and then that ended up uh, being very, very difficult. So, as you know, the more you develop the inner world, the the more difficult it is to be in the outer world. Uh, and until you figure out how to navigate it and what the purpose of it is and where you fit into it. And for the longest time, up until I was about 50 something, I really didn't feel like I fit in. And I was quite ready to go. I thought, nah, you know what? Nothing here makes sense to me at all, at all, at all. And it was at a point in my life, in my personal life, when my mom was um, on her way out from a terminal brain tumor, and I was kind of looking after her, and I nothing was working. Relationships weren't working. I couldn't, yeah, I had jobs, and yes, I've been in the corporate world and all that stuff, but like I hated every second of it, and there was no fulfillment. And so, yeah, I kind of came to the conclusion, well, okay, when my mom goes, yeah, adios. And then, of course, the universe stepped in, and I met my teacher and mentor, Jonathan C.R. Davies, who was a pivotal influence in my life. And very quickly on, Jonathan basically showed me that my kind of different was what made me really special,
Mm.
and that I was very much my kind of different, and the stuff that didn't fit in anywhere else was very, very much needed here. So he completely shifted you know, the weight around of what I was carrying, and transmitted a unity bubble to me, which we can talk about, and very well about. And um, that was it. I was put back into a 6D environment, which is where I'm comfortable. Um, and I felt like I was a foot and a half taller than I am. I still feel that. And that was, I don't know, 12 years ago. No, not that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, 10 years ago. And, and then, as I continued to work with him and as he continued to share, his, final additions to the Unity Bubble process. Um, I became a facilitator, and then when we had the big, you know,
Thing that happened.
the big the big goofy, I was pretty much like literally like fed up with the, working to maintain a condo that, like, I didn't want to be in Toronto. I didn't want to have a condo. I didn't want to have a job downtown. I didn't want any of it. And, I was the only one that was completely, I was the only person on the bus and on the subway in Toronto. Like, I have pictures of the entire subway being empty. I'm the only, it's like I had a personal limousine service to work every day, right? The bus is serious. And and it was this, all of a sudden, it just came to me. I was like, I'm not doing this thing. I'm not. And, and it was just like spontaneously, it was like, I went, okay, I'm going to sell my condo and I'm going to buy my freedom. And I had no idea what the value was. And like none of that stuff made, was like, but as soon as I decided that, everything within 3 months fell into place. I went chop, chop, bang, 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 bang. It was gone. And I literally bought my freedom.
Wow.
And I moved to Montreal for a year. That was in 2019. And I just thought, okay, Montreal, it's going to be, I wanted to be in a more European kind of environment, where I feel more comfortable, artsy, this kind of thing. Well, it was nothing like that. It was full on lockdown, curfew, complete insanity. I saw a human trafficking ring busted across the street from me. And
Oh my.
I mean, to validate all of that horrible stuff that we're hearing, I saw it outside my window. So anyway, I lasted in Montreal for a year. And then 4 years ago, almost to the day, I was lucky enough to move here to, I call it Buckhornia. I love my Buckhornia in the Kawartha Lakes region in Ontario, so deep in the country. And I'm very, very happy to be in this place and very lucky to be in this place and hosted in this place by dear friends. And,
Mm.
and it's been a bit of a hermit existence, which is what I think we all have to do when it's time to do the big work.
Yeah.
When it's time to put on the big girl boots and go inside.
Very familiar with the hermit existence myself. Yeah.
There you go. So that's pretty much it. So over the past 4 years, I've been developing, doing a lot of work with people with the Unity Bubble. Then a lot of channeling, working with my friend Darius as well, who's in Italy. He's a very gifted channeler as well. And we he's part of the FreeMe Portal. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, as you know, where we met the second time, George Cavasilis, our beloved George, that was a whole new level of, right, just like da 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 da. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, right? Right. Just when you thought you were good with your chakras and your kundalini and your pineal gland and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
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 Hello. Right.
Well,
So yeah. So
let
that just that's like putting a blender in your brain and turning it on high, right?
No kidding. It's the best thing for you, right? Because then you have to discard the identity that your ego tried to create around that belief system.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would love to go back to something you said and have you tell us more about the unity bubble. You said once you got your unity bubble that you were back to living in a 6D environment, and
Mhm.
I think there are probably a lot of people who went, what does that mean exactly? Can you describe that and then talk about the unity bubble?
Sure. Uh, it's very difficult to describe because it is one of these things that is beyond the realm of words. It's in the realm of feeling and isness. However, it is, if I were to describe it, an eighth dimensional frequency. It's a tool.
The unity bubble itself.
Yes, the unity bubble itself. They called it a bubble. I can't help that. I tried to change that. It's still okay. So it's a frequency field,
Mhm.
and it is transmitted to anyone who is open and willing by someone who is authorized to transmit that. And this is the mentorship that I went through with Jonathan to earn the authority to be able to, because it is not me that's giving, it's the group called Unity who worked with Jonathan, and Jonathan worked with them over a period of several years to develop this gift that was to free humanity from unconscious suffering.
Oh, unconscious suffering. I love that. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
don't love it,
Yeah.
but I love that it's named as such. So, yeah, this group, which is beyond the physical realm, certain, what, masters, certain teachers,
Yes.
how would you
Yes.
describe it?
Yeah. There the light beings of unity include Creator, Christus Sophia, um, the Council of Grandmothers, Pan, some of the archangelic, not the distorted elements.
Mm, mhm.
I had to wrap my brains around that after George.
Yeah, well, and maybe we could just touch on that
Hmm.
because in my work I talk a lot about the difference between synthetic and organic, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when you mention creator, right? This is we get so screwy around this terminology, right? Because many people say, "Well, I believe in God," and what does that mean exactly? It means so many different things because that word means so many different things. When you say creator, I'm assuming that you're talking about the universal creator, the original universal creator of this universe, right? Not the God, the God of religions as the God of the Matrix, a synthetic overlay on the organic reality of the creator. Am I correct in assuming that?
Absolutely. And of course, when Jonathan was alive, he passed in 2017, 16. Anyway, he would use the term creator. He would very seldom actually use the term God, but it was with the understanding that it was not a localized deity or um, perceived uh, structure that is all powerful and just the one of for everything. Like that was never something that Jonathan talked about. Way, way, way before I met George, right? And way
Mhm.
before I understood what George was talking about. So when I say I do not refer to the any kind of God with a small g, we're talking about creation, creator, this universe. In Christ consciousness, because this is a Christ consciousness universe, and the unity bubble is actually ultimately, if you're going to take it to its nth degree, as a vehicle for self-actualization in and attaining Christ consciousness. Um,
Right.
it's again, it's like anything else, you're going to get out of it what you put into it and what you want from it. So some people come to me and they just want to, they're tired of, abusive relationships. They're tired of being addicted to certain substances or mindsets. They're tired of the inner resistance. They're tired of all the noise, all of that stuff. And they just want peace. They just want peace. And this process, the unity bubble in particular, and the first transmission after the unity bubble is called the flow, which puts things into motion and addresses all the resistance that we carry from all of the programming. This is, and anyone who has done this to any degree and has seen the results for themselves in their own lives would agree with me when I say this is the best kept secret around. And it is a powerful tool for transformation, but in particular to end unconscious suffering.
So I keep being really intrigued by that phrase. So the unity bubble for someone who doesn't know anything about it and is coming in and is like, yeah, I'm open to having a unity bubble. Like, how does it work on the, I mean, I know we can't talk about it in 3D terms because it doesn't exist in the 3D, but it has an effect in the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a harmonizer of our own biofield? Is it working with us on the eighth dimensional level because we exist on all of these different dimensional levels? When you talk about, returning to Christ consciousness, just to be clear to the listeners, we're not referring to the personage known by most people
No,
as Jesus the Christ. We're talking
no,
about a state of consciousness, a state of being
yeah.
that is all love, all accepting, all unconditional embrace of all that is, right? So how, how does it work?
As it
Does
was.
it how's it work?
How does
Um,
it look?
how
Really? Yeah. Good
what like
Lord.
what's going on? Because I was fortunate enough to be in a group that is going through the Unity bubble process with you, and all I know, because I'm not asensitive in the way that you are.
Mm,
But like, all I know is that when I sat down with you to start the Unity Bubble process, I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm just totally open. I'm interested in anything that is going to, bring me closer to the truth of what I am. And I had this experience of like spontaneous, even before we started.
mm.
And I've noticed this tends to happen to me like before a process actually starts. It's like it's already starting,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever it is, I don't even know, right? And like I felt like this incredible tenderness come all up through me and around me,
Mm,
that and when I have that feeling,
mm,
I become aware of what a hard time I seem to always be giving myself, and that I don't have to,
mm,
because actually I'm totally loved.
yeah.
And I feel the difference in my own my own bubble, I guess you could call it, that I'm
Mm,
used to living in,
mm,
and the truth of the field, the universe. Here I'm getting really vague with my words, but like,
mm,
it was this beautiful feeling of being welcomed unconditionally, and like anything you've ever done in your life that was stupid is like, really doesn't matter. We love you,
yeah.
none of that stuff matters. So that was how I experienced my introduction to the bubble, was like that. And otherwise, like I don't notice much, but I don't necessarily, I mean, I recognize that we don't have to directly attribute. If you try to be linear in how you attribute changes in your life, you can't be, because we are fractal and multidimensional. Everything is affecting us at all times. But I'm just really curious. Sorry, it's time for me to be quiet so that you can speak.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah, how does it work? What is it doing?
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being part of this beautiful Unity Bubble group that we're having right now. And the the truth is, it works in the way that you need it to work.
Yeah.
So everyone's experience will be unique to them. It's kind of like having, a dish from the eighth dimension that's been, prepared by these incredible deities in this kitchen with so much love and attention. And they offer you a slice because you're interested in having a taste. And it's going to be a different taste for every single person and a different experience texturally, aromatically, taste what it's just going to be different for everyone. And that's really what the frequency is, because when you get a unity bubble, it's not a one size fits all from, the giant tiger, right? It's it's tailor made to you specifically, right? And it always mm, it always bowls me over, because not only have I done the process, but I've facilitated the process hundreds and hundreds of times. And each time I do, I'm put into a state of such love, just like you described. And it's just this big, huge hug from the inside out. And it's this feeling that everything is just fine. You know, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to be good. You're good. You are good. Right. And the overwhelming unconditional love that I feel pouring through me when I do the transmissions, I'm just as elated giving the bubble and the transmissions as those who are receiving them. And I have my own experience every time I transmit one. And every time I'm channeling for a client, it's unique. So the frequency that they get is going to be exactly what they need in their journey at that time. So it's made up of, technically, a couple of hundred infusions and removals. And this took about 3 years for Jonathan working with Unity to literally put together and test out. So Jonathan and his wonderful wife Hazel, who was with him throughout this whole time, they would be the guinea pigs, and they they'd be like, okay, how is this working? And they'd be like, oh hell no, 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 that's not working. Remove, remove, remove. No, you have to get rid of this first and then put that in, right? So
So are we talking about frequencies here? It's almost like, okay,
mhm,
working with, I just have
mhm,
the image of you as a conductor.
mm,
You're working with frequency in the universe. Some people just have the gift of being able to do that, right? So we're going to choose the frequency that represents, when we say it in words, removal of fear of death, right?
exactly,
And then we're going to work with a frequency that gives something like, trust in your inner being, right? So
exactly,
there are actually frequencies that represent those, what we would call concepts, because we're speaking about them in words.
right.
Is that somewhat like, am I even getting close to describing something?
Well, totally. And ultimately we are a frequency. So like when we pass from here, Claire, um, I've been doing a lot of recently I've been very interested in the work of Seth, and putting him through the toroidal ether model with Lee's
We'll talk
we'll
about
talk
that
about
too.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And Seth is actually a 2.5K something frequency, which is the same frequency that we would attribute. So he was created when the split happened after Mars went into its warring period. And so he's an adversarial frequency that we also call Loki or Satan.
Mm, mm.
And we know that that's a big trigger word for everyone. So Satan, Satan, that just means the opposer. And again,
Yeah,
that's
the
one of the
opposer.
things that's been really contorted by, nothing to be, and there, not to say there isn't evil. It's the opposite of live, right? However, these things are not meant to be frightening, but I digress. So the frequency, as you say, the reason I was interested in the Seth frequency was because I started to tune into the adversarial nature of it. And when I realized that that's great. We all need, if we're here as spiritual warriors, some of us need to tune into that adversarial frequency to fuel us when we are battling something that we feel that we need to battle. Of course, ultimately, you know, it's all expansion and contraction back into the oneness. But while we're on that path, and when we choose to do battle or to become the opposer of certain things that we no longer wish to be suppressed by or taken advantage of by, then we need that frequency of adversarial strength to fortify us in a certain way that we can address those things. So all of these things, and ultimately Seth will merge back into, like Set and Horus are going to merge back in together, and it's going to be once again a unified frequency of absolute love and oneness and beauty. So in terms of the bubble, the unity bubble, yes, you're absolutely right. Each one of these infusions and removals, so you remove that frequency if you're carrying it, of the fear of death or of jealousy or of spitefulness or of whatever, and then you replace that with unconditional love, with appreciation for beauty, with appreciation for nature, appreciation for animals, right? So all of these things, and they're over the entire process is 8 transmissions, including the unity bubble to begin with. So it takes a little while. It used to take a lot longer. Jonathan, you wouldn't give anybody a transmission. It was once a month. But now it's, I'm offering them, depending on where people are at. I'll do one every couple of weeks.
Yeah,
They're
right.
okay. And depending on like where people are at.
Because it's almost
Yeah.
like overwriting, isn't it? Like if you go in and overwrite a program with a program that supersedes that program, supersedes it in terms of frequency, right? Because a higher order configuration supersedes a lower order configuration, doesn't it? It organizes or entrains that to its level.
I agree with you. However, I would say that it actually precedes it because you were originally
Love
absolute
it.
purity and balance and in alignment. So you came here to get all messed up to have an exploration. So this is an accelerated path to becoming that which you always were in the first place.
Back to the
It's
remembering, huh?
back to the remembering. This is not about taking on any kind of personas or about fixing anything. It's about becoming that who you truly are to begin with. That's it.
Mm. Beautiful. I love it. Can you tell us more about? I mean, I know that this is like a whole conversation in and of itself, so we can't go as deep as we would both like, I'm sure. But can you tell me more about the rose model of the universe? You mentioned a moment ago putting something through that model. This is from your friend Lee, who is one of the facilitators on the FreeMe Portal, which we're going to get to talking about as well. What is that?
Well, I can't tell you that I know either because it requires a huge presence in brain that Lee Mudway, my dear brother, friend, has, who has connected with this truth. And it is an ancient truth, and it has been a hidden truth. And it is a truth that is beyond duality. It is the truth that is beyond the mirror of the matrix, although it embraces all of that in the expansion and contraction. So if you kind of think of the heart
Mm,
as an 8 petaled rose, and as that rose opens, it goes into its expansion, and then it has to go back into its contraction as it finishes its growth process. So it's all about this, you know, how many thousands and millions of years of growth to come back to the end. So the 144,000, when we talk about that, according to the Rose model, this is the those of us who carry the breath, when all of us who remember who we are breathe at 4.4 seconds. When we do this all together, like the rose breathing, right? The expansion, contraction, the natural pulse of the heart, right? So your heart is, that is the fractality, fractalich, whatever it is, of the universe, right? As you breathe and expand and come back, you are breathing in tandem with consciousness, with the universe, with everything that is. It's a very organic understanding. There is no duality. It is just all one, experiencing different sides of itself in different aspects. Oh, yes.
There's a big storm coming up as we're talking
Oh,
about this. I gotta close the window.
cool, 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 cool.
I'd love to leave the window open, but I think the
Okay.
rain might lash. But I mean, I just
Oh.
have to say, I think that's very interesting that as we're talking
Mm,
about this, like,
yeah, we're
yeah, it's
scaring up some stuff. Yeah, isn't that?
getting wild out there.
Ah, I love it. I could see the palm trees going. Isn't it wonderful? Ah, yes.
Sorry to
So
interrupt.
no, 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 not at all. So basically, when the 144,000 breathe in this interval of 4.4 seconds and breathe in and then breathe out in the same rhythm, and it's going to happen organically, naturally. It's like the entrainment that you talked about, right?
Mm.
That's it. It will all fall back into its state of purity and oneness and its original form. So this is, as within, so without. So this, it's the same idea with the unity bubble. It's about removing everything that is in your way when you the interference from the matrix, the noise, the frequencies that they're bouncing off of, like the 72 billion bits of information. I don't know if you've seen it, but like 4 times now I've actually seen it. I've seen the numbers dropping and codes being interjected this way, and there's about 5 or 6 layers of numbers dropping. I've seen it, and
Where
it's,
in the Matrix, you mean?
yeah,
Like,
I've seen it with my inner vision.
yeah.
And so these are all these things that are imposed upon us, and we're trying to have this exploration here as this human being, right?
Mhm.
But we're this is the avatar. We are the soul in a human avatar. We are not a human being with a soul, right? So these impositions, which we decided that we were going to cook up a long time ago to make it to make it fun, right?
Yeah, sometimes I wonder.
What were we
Oh,
thinking? Yeah, exactly. Like,
tired.
real? Like, seriously? Oh, one of us was smoking something funny that day.
Oh my gosh. There are days
Oh,
where I'm like, is this going to be over soon? This is a
oh,
great game, but every
yeah.
game can go on too long.
Yeah. Like we really pulled all the stops out when we made this one.
Oh man, man, oh
Oh
man.
man, oh
Sure
man.
did.
Anyway, so but then the beautiful thing is we came up with stuff like Jonathan came up with the Unity bubble, and that's available to us, right?
Yes.
It's available to us to draw in these tools, to search these things out, and search and you will find, right? And to accelerate this, to fast track this process for yourself so that you're not suffering unconditionally. It's one thing to like I had to wrap, like that first teacher of mine, the one that told me about the Gurdjieffian shit. I shouldn't say shit, it's wonderful stuff, but um he talked about unconditional suffering, conscious suffering and unconscious suffering. It
Right.
took me years to wrap my brain around it. I'm like, Robert, suffering is bloody suffering. I don't care what kind of an outfit you put it in, right? Not so. We clearly came here to suffer consciously for the purpose of having the growth and the expansion of this exploration. Suffering unconsciously is when you realize you are suffering and you don't do anything about it.
Mm. Mm.
So it's that is exercising your free will. So you can, through your free will, get a unity bubble, and you are not going to have that kind of interference, resistance, and you're going to reach your spiritual goals faster because of the lack of this interference and the dissolution of the resistance.
Right.
It's
Right.
that simple,
Well, it's like
right?
any spiritual
Simple.
technology, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
technology is not just, this stuff that we're working with. Technology is anything, any tool that helps us, right? Or,
Exactly.
ideally.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And not to say, like we were talking earlier about, the Kundalini and the chakras and George himself, our beloved George Kavasalis, says that all of these things were important to a certain but they'll only take you to a certain level,
Mm.
right? Hence the and but like you said when you started doing the kundalini yoga, that helped you tremendously. So these are
Tremendously.
all things that are in there, they have value, so we're none of us are poo-pooing anything. It's whatever you resonate with, whatever floats your boat, whatever your soul tells you, your heart and soul and your innate essence tells you, oh, okay, this is interesting to me, I'm resonating with this. Go and explore it. Go and explore it. If your innate is telling you to go and take a cooking course, yeah, well, maybe there's something you need to learn about nurturing yourself, right? It's not always that, you know, thunderbolts and lightning. It's
Well,
pretty
also,
simple.
sometimes you need to experience the other side of something that you had maybe a role in implementing. I mean,
Absolutely.
I became aware after much time. There was a connection for me between the Atlantean period when overlays were imposed on the human form,
Mm-hmm,
right, in the
mm-hmm,
form
mm-hmm.
of Kundalini pineal axis and chakras, right, because those are not natural to our spiritual anatomy, let's
Yep.
say. I realized, I feel like I had a role in that imposition actually.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so I had to come back and experience the other side of it and explore that and feel it out. I had to experience the other side of that imposition so
Yep.
that I could learn to see outside of it.
Yep. Well,
Because
yeah.
when you impose something, a lot of times you're imposing unknowingly,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right? You
mm-hmm,
think you're bringing something good,
mm-hmm. Mm.
right? I mean, it's kind of like missionaries who go into
Oh, yeah.
indigenous populations and they're like, let's now we can tell you what things are really, this is what you're really supposed to believe in. This is the
Yeah.
real God. This is the
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
savior, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I totally trust people's paths because we may not understand why people choose the paths that they do, or if they appear to be choosing unconsciously or whatever. But there's always a higher order.
Absolutely. And what's coming to mind is, like, I'm just doodling here, but I like to, when I have a profound thought, I'm thinking in terms of very visual. So, what you were saying about having a role as the imposer of these paradigms or whatever, as well as the one who is seeking liberation from it, let's not forget that there is no such thing as time, and all of these things are occurring at the same time.
Right.
So this
Yeah.
is an entirely different awareness that you can bring into yourself without judgment, without any kind of uh, negative thought about it. Because at the same time, and this is the word, the opposer word. I don't want to say it again because it freaks people out. But where I'm going with this. So you are in effect your own opposer
Yes.
to the system that you have created and are trying to uncreate. So
Yes.
again, ultimately, where I'm going with all of this is when I've come to this realization that absolutely everything, and I've kind of known it, but I've been feeling it lately, which is a completely different kettle of fish. It's all our trip, man.
Mm.
Everything. This reality, like we know I create my reality. Everybody says that. But okay, do you get to what extent you create your reality?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to say that, if you're going to embrace that,
Yeah,
that means all of it, right? Not
all of
just
it.
when it's convenient, right? And th we got to keep this in mind when we're dealing with r realities that are very, very unpalatable,
Oh
very
yeah. Oh
difficult
yeah.
to face. And
Oh
I would
yeah.
love for you to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing with Erica on that
Mm,
subject, Erica Amarina. And and her work, so Erica has been here in the Grace space, and
mm,
yeah, we had an amazing time talking. And her work is a lot of it is helping people who have been MILAB'd, abducted, MILAB meaning military abduction. And you are creating something together, the two of you, and I would love to hear more of that, more about that series.
thank you. Yeah. I met Erica again around the same time when we were doing the George courses, and I heard her speak on Dr. Sala's Exopolitics channel, and something in me just said, "Okay, I need to have a session with this lady. I need to explore what she's talking about here." And so that was about 3 months ago, and I mean, if you have to experience Erica first, right? And before any kind of work that we were going to be doing together. So she revealed to me that I have a past as well in the SSP. Uh,
SSP is the secret space
Secret
program,
Space
everybody.
programs, and particularly the Nachtwaffen, which is the Dark Fleet,
Mm.
um, as a very not nice person. And that went on for about 50 years, apparently. So I did a 50 and back.
Mm.
And and it made a lot of sense because I don't remember any of my childhood. I don't remember any of my adolescence. I don't actually remember much other than from photographs or from like meeting certain people or whatever, but everything else is like a big blur until I was
Mm.
50 years old, which makes sense because apparently I was a walk-in at birth and taken very soon after that, as most children are. And my mother was also involved in that. So there was experimentation on her, which she talked about. My mother was in a Nazi concentration camp and was experimented on. She remembered that. So
Oh,
it goes it's a genetic thing, right? They target, there's a genetic reason that they go after certain individuals. And it has to do with the, in my case also with the Magdalene bloodline and all of that stuff. I don't need to get into it, but the bottom line is that opened up my relationship with Erica, and we started to sort of compare notes of what I do, and she started hearing back from people in the Unity Bubble group that are also working with her, and she realized, wow, there's something about this that's helping people get through their trauma, right? Because when she has a session with someone, it's difficult because they're going to be hearing truths about themselves that they better be prepared to hear
Hmm. Hmm.
and process. So we basically decided that we're going to be working on a series of interviews and courses together to go deeper into that, because Erica's abilities have grown even in the last couple of months. She's able to see implants now and also able to remove gray attachment to those implants. And the truth of the matter is, and this is the shocking part, which we will be revealing on a mass scale. I'm not scared to say it here. I don't think it's gonna create a huge problem. But the truth is that there's a lot more of that kind of infiltration than you would imagine. Oh.
Okay, so for grace space audiences who are just waking up to this kind of thing, what
Mhm.
exactly are we talking about here?
We're talking about, well, humanity in general is a commodity, right? As George says, it's the Earth farm, right? And everybody in the galaxy knows it's a horrible truth. It's almost like the great cosmic joke that Earth is a big farm.
Right.
So there are those. Again, we are all part of the same consciousness. This is all part of this play of consciousness, as Baba Muktananda used to say, right? We're all in a play of consciousness. Um, who are exploring and trapping others and using resources, human resources, not when it comes to the job pool. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm. Hmm.
Human resources that have to do with fluids and functionalities of the human body. And so the truth is that this is far, far, far more widespread than we have been even allowed to imagine. And this is something that we are, Erica and I are, we're exploring, and we're also working a little bit with the, because of her connections within the upstairs.
Hmm.
They've given us,
Better explain what that means too.
that means the galactics, okay, the
Okay.
galactics, who have basically given her and me the go ahead to do this, because for a while we were put into a holding pattern because of the as you very well know, Claire, the unsettling nature of reality right now. So there was a time in early December, November, December, when there were so many things that were being reshuffled because the consciousness was going through such a, it's like putting 100 ping pong balls in the dryer and trying to decide which way is up, right?
It's a
Wow.
very apt metaphor.
Only because the dryer's been on. And so basically they said, oi, like, because everybody, according to that, um, the way that the chessboard was reading at the time, we were all going to be given our new marching orders. Because as the starseeds, as the envoys, and the original order that we came here to be the light and to transmit our frequency and to become that critical mass that ignites the awakening. Well, those orders are done because that was abandoned because of what went on in the Galactic Federation, etc. So we are all waiting, and we've all kind of been feeling, I'm sure you felt it too, kind of in this limbo, like, where am I going? What am I doing? And, well, we keep putting one foot in front of the other and thinking of things to do and how we can contribute and whatever. But in the grand scope of things, like, what's my mission? Like, what am I really here to do? And so it was an interesting, it was an organic kind of outgrowth from Erica and I meeting in the first place, and me doing the bubble thing and her discovering that this was a lot more insidious than we imagined, and it just kind of was like, oh, okay, well, and then having done our bubble group and people having breakthroughs in that process and being helped by what I'm doing, it just made sense that we bring what we do together so that we can offer it in whatever way we can. So right now we're working on how to do that effectively, um, and and I know Dr. Sala is holding place for Erica to come on and announce that we're going to be doing this. So I would say sometime this month it's going to happen.
Amazing. And guys, if a lot of this may be new to you, if you're, those of you who are watching and listening, but go on to, all of Renata's links are in the show notes. Go on to her website and check out. There's a lot of information about the Unity Bubble. And so essentially, what you guys are going to be doing is tag teaming, working together to help people when you are going to transmit the Unity Bubble and help people through that process over a period of time. And Erica, with her gifts, is going to be helping people remove the interference, right? I know when I had a session with Erica, there were a couple of grays on me that had to go, and what you were saying, Renata, is that what she is seeing and realizing is that kind of interference is way, way, way more common than anybody ever realized, because most people don't see or sense on that dimensional level. I don't. I do the work that I do the way that I do it. I have my own gifts, but I don't see what she sees. I don't,
Yeah, well, we agreed to forget, right? We agreed,
yeah, I guess. Right. But, she's
and
like,
they took
with you.
advantage of that, right?
I know. She says that they've been with you since you were in the womb,
Oh yeah, little.
So how would you know any different?
Oh
Right.
yeah, exactly.
And if she hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known. But somewhere in my heart, I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. It's okay. It's all
Yeah,
fine. Nothing to
yeah.
be afraid of. So she can help people with synthetic overlays and interference that is happening on the multidimensional level that you may not be aware of on the 3D level, but is
Exactly.
still affecting you on the 3D level. And then you're helping people by giving them a bubble and the different layers of the bubble as the weeks go by. So, I mean, that sounds like a super, super powerful combination.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we hope so. We know it is, and it's just up to individuals to want to embrace that and to go into it. And I mean, it is work. It's not for the faint of heart. I mean, as you know, Claire, any kind of spiritual work that we go into, that we endeavor to gain from, requires an effort, and it doesn't, and the greater the effort, and usually the challenge and the suffering, but the conscious suffering, it's so worth it at the end of it, because then you are free, and that's the whole point. We
Yeah.
want to get to
Well,
that.
and it does get easier. I mean,
Of course it
the
does. Yeah.
heavy lifting is at the beginning. The heavy lifting is
Always, always.
you're just having to face things, be honest with yourself. I mean, that's the place where we want to make things the hardest is denying ourselves, lying to ourselves. I think we're so afraid of the light that we are, afraid to let that be what it is. We have a bunch of defenses against it too. And as you say, we've chosen to forget a lot in order to function here. Otherwise, it might just be too painful. Or
Well, it would be impossible because no, it would be impossible because you would know that you are an eternal, all omnipotent, eternal, full fractal of consciousness that is able to create reality with your thought.
which is why we're here in the first place, because this is our
Hello,
creation.
hello.
When
So
you doubt that, you're like, you have to remember, yeah, but look where you are and what you're doing. This is all your creation too, right?
right,
It's a co-creation of all of us.
but we have to forget it so that we can have the exploration we have. If we remember that, you can't really be terrified when your child is sick. You can't really, have that ecstatic feeling when something fantastic happens that you've been working. You can't have the human exploration if you know who you truly are. You can at some point you start to kind of go, oh, hold the phone, you know.
I always think about
Hold the
that
phone.
story, the story from one of the really, really ancient Vedic texts about the
Mm.
god who loved cows so much that he decided he wanted to experience being a cow. So he turned himself into a cow. And then, of course, once he was a cow, he thought like a cow. And so he forgot that he had been a god before, and his friends had to come down and rescue him.
Yeah, right, exactly. Before he ended up a steak on somebody's plate. Yeah.
And I'm like, moo.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and what a metaphor, and this is how they treat us. They treat us like cattle, right? It's just, but we created that paradigm, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's fine. It's fine. And so ultimately, yeah. So with Erica, I'm looking forward to that, and we're both very, very much looking forward to developing that together and offering that. And she's an incredible powerhouse. And I mean, what a lady! And what if anybody wants to get familiar with Erica, just exopolitics.
Yeah.
And
Exopolitics Today, Dr. Sala, Michael Sala's show,
exactly.
is a great resource for lots of different. I mean, and of course the FreeMe Portal, which I would love to talk about now. I'm a facilitator on the FreeMe Portal. Proud to say,
Yay.
Erica is, Lee is of the Rose Model of the Universe, and others. And this is Renata's new venture, which I would love for you to tell everybody about.
Well, thank you, Claire. Free Me Portal, and it's not as in free me because oh, poor free, unfree me. It's free me, eh? I'm free. And this is a portal that anyone else can walk through and find their freedom as well. So it was born from the time when you and I were together in George's class, and I became aware of Dr. Andrea Martin and the full on plight of the starseeds and envoys, of which we both are, and and something inside of me shifted, and I knew that I had to do something. I wasn't quite sure what. Anyway, I got on a call with Dr. Andrea, and she basically lit a fire under me. She's like, you've had this experience, you've done this, you've done. Are you joking me? Well, it's pretty obvious you need to have a platform, isn't it? Right? And I'm like, oh no, I'm not going there again. Oh, oh, I thought I was done with all of that. Okay. And so at first I thought it was just going to be geared towards awakening the star seeds and the envoys, etc. And that was valiant and noble. And as as time went on, I realized I don't want to be doing anything in opposition to anything, because what you resist persists.
Hmm.
So it had to shift into a welcoming to the process of becoming self-actualized, becoming the Homo Luminous, becoming that which we always were. So it's like that idée fixe in your life. It's always been about sovereignty and freedom, right? With me, it's the same thing, but it's about self-actualization and becoming that which, that essence of the truth and divinity that we always were, as an expression within the Christ consciousness. So that's been my idée fixe. So as the fires of creation were burning around FreeMe Portal, and in talking to Lee, and talking to Dr. Andrea, and learning about what the situation was actually, and as far as we know, but I don't know if we actually any of us really know exactly what's going on at the upper levels, but we know enough now that if we get together and create a space where we can give each other a hand up and explore the possibility of self-actualization, homo luminosity, freedom. As long as you're in a time-space continuum, the truth is you're going to be in a matrix, but you don't have to be a slave to it. Again, it's this
That's right.
idea of conscious and unconscious suffering. As long as you're in a body, as long as you're in 3D or in a time-space dimension, you are going to be in one form of a matrix or another. This is, the cosmic agency, Gosha, that lovely woman I want to introduce.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
I love her. She talks about this. She did an interview not too long ago with one of the ladies in one of
Hmm.
the
Pleiadian
Pleiadian
gals. Yeah.
Pleiadian lady. And so you can't actually leave, but it's like that thing, you can be of this world but not be in this world but not be of it.
Yes.
Conscious suffering, unconscious suffering. So
Lucid dreaming in your
yes,
life.
you can navigate your way through the matrix with the odds stacked in your favor for a change, right? Not in theirs,
Yes.
because you're bringing your awareness to every moment, and you are untouchable. You are untouchable when you bring that light of consciousness to every moment of your life.
Well, that changes the game, doesn't it? I mean, the
Exactly.
moment you become a conscious participant in this,
Exactly.
aware of who you are, you are no longer a pawn on the board being moved around by forces you don't understand. You start to work at the creational level, right?
100%.
And that's the purpose of the FreeMe Portal, in part, is to hook people up with all kinds of different facilitators who are working at this level to help people remember who they are. And you might be drawn to one or another, a certain kind of path or another. You might need some healing work. You might need mentoring. There's all kinds of different facilitators on there and different ways that you can go on your journey. And it just feels like coming home when you land on the website. The first time I went on there when you were creating the website, before, I was honored to be a facilitator on there, I saw the site and how fun it was. Renata's super fun, you guys. I mean, one of the great laughs in the world. But great sense of humor, irreverent. And so, it's a fun place to land, and you go, oh, I don't feel so crazy. And as I'm saying this, I'm looking up through the window there, and these gray clouds have parted, and there is this little splotch of beautiful blue sky and
Oh,
light coming through. And that's kind of the
oh.
feeling you get. You
Mm,
land on the site and it's beautifully done. It's graphic. I was impressed. I was like, wow, Renata created all this amazing.
yeah, thank you.
And so, and there's an introductory video you can watch, and then you can just explore and check out different facilitators. And if you're ready to like take a step in consciously reclaiming your sovereignty as a full universal fractal of source who cannot be imposed upon, except for in the game when you're unconscious, right? This is a great place to go. It's going to be it's like a node
Mm.
of power, starting to pulse quietly in the universe.
Oh,
That's how
thank
it
you. I
feels.
love that. And I think this is a very appropriate time to announce that you, my dear, have graciously agreed to be the spokesperson for FreeMe Portal. And I could not be more thrilled and honored. And it's going to be so great. I'm just so excited. It's such a natural fit for you. Uh,
Oh,
you know,
well, thank
it
you. I mean,
really is. And if I had created, if I had been creating it for you in mind, I don't think it would have been a closer fit. So
Well, I'm
subconsciously,
honored. I mean,
subconsciously somewhere in the ethers we met and went, oh, and then I went, oh, okay.
well, it's the most natural thing in the world, right? I mean, just as you felt compelled to create that platform because it's what you do when you have the resources that you have with all of your experience, all of your wealth of experience and the richness
Mm,
of your own journey. I mean, emotionally, it just in terms of your actual life experience, but also the emotional landscape of that experience and everything you've been through, how deep down you went into the dark, into the shadow, is how high you can rise too, you know. So, I
mm-hmm.
mean, when you have that kind of life experience and the spiritual gifts that you have in addition, you know, it just is natural to want to give to other people and help people find themselves, right? Because that's all we're doing is just trying to remember who we are and activate those spiritual gifts that are ours naturally. And so you create a space where more and more people can come, and that can happen by hooking them up with all of these different frequencies of facilitators too. You know,
Exactly,
so, I
exactly.
mean, from my perspective, it's like, well, it's just like falling off a log to be a spokesperson for the FreeMe portal. I'm like, well, of course. What else is there to do?
Yeah,
This is why we're here.
this is it, baby. This is it. No, 100%. And I just, as you're saying that, I want to underscore the beauty of the rose model in this unfolding and coming back, because sure, I've done a lot of work, but and I've had a lot of shit go down. It's been a horrid life, but it's okay. I'm a happy camper because I chose all of that and I'm good with it because it's made me who I am today. And I thank every single person that gave me a hard time because they played a role, and they played a very good role in giving me that hard time because I wouldn't have been able to learn otherwise. So I'm very grateful. But ultimately, I've learned the most, believe it or not, from all of the work I've done with others as a facilitator, because they
Mhm.
allow me to see their shadow, their darkness, their dis-ease. And I've had to like, oh, okay. So how do I deal with this? How do I deal? I mean, there isn't much that I haven't heard, right? And these aren't necessarily my experiences, but I've had to become, as a shaman, become one with that person as they go through those things, and they are deeply, deeply, deeply painful and you know, horrific things that some people I've worked with have gone through. And so, as you know, as in the law of one, you know, our beloved Ra, and you know, we don't take it as gospel. We don't take anything as gospel, even the gospel, right? But they do say, they always say teachings, learnings, which I love that in Ra, because you're never just a teacher, you're always learning. So I'm so grateful to every single person that I've been able to facilitate this process with, because I've had to take the journey with them, or they've allowed me to take the journey with them, and they've allowed me into their hearts and into their private lives and into their sanctum sanctorum, you know, of the
Yeah.
heart. And that has given me the breadth of experience to then give that back again, right? So it's that expansion contraction, that, you know, the gift that keeps on giving. And you know, so it's a beautiful thing. It's a natural progression when you begin to facilitate, that you learn more, and then you can facilitate more, and then you can learn more, and it doesn't end, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
end ever,
Mhm.
ever, ever, ever.
Well, you know, I had the images you were speaking just then of the heart again, and
Mm,
how, you know, I think it's pretty common knowledge now that the heart is not a pump, right? The
Mhm.
heart is a vortexer of the blood, and technically or theoretically, the heart doesn't wear out.
Mm,
It's not a pump. It's not going to get tired of pumping.
right.
The vortexer of blood that makes all of these different individual vortexes that communicate with every part of the body. That's like another thing that blows me away.
Mm,
But we are these toroidal, and the heart is creating this toroidal field around us, right? And this is the 0 point, right? The heart as the 0 point, us as the 0 point. At the center of our field is a 0 point, and that's where the infinite energy comes from. It
an
is the
infinite
gift.
possibility.
Yes, and that's the gift that keeps on giving, right? It's like when you start to harness that yourself, not because you have intellectual knowledge about something, but because you have released the heaviness, let go of believing in a limitation as who you are, and started to remember who you are and what you're here to bring. You start to access that 0 point energy, that the awareness of that infinite, toroidal field all around. And then all of the beliefs about death, about suffering and decline, about the inevitability of our demise. They kind of go
That's
up
a
in
joke. Yeah.
smoke,
Oh,
right?
super.
And I'm not talking about, physical immortality or anything, although, I mean, I think out there in the universe, out there in the galaxy, there are lifespans that are far, far, far longer than this one,
Oh, ours should
because
be.
we
Yeah,
have been
ours
so
should be.
compromised,
Yeah.
right? But if only we could start to remember
Mhm.
that that is the truth here. This 0 point is right here in the within the depth of the heart, and when we activate that principle in life, which is what you're doing, which is what I'm attempting to do, which
Yep.
is what all of the
Yep.
facilitators on the FreeMe portal are
Exactly.
here to, like, help you remember, remember, remember. We are infinite. This is where it's coming from, right? The rest of it is just a story. It's a very convincing multi millennial psyop.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
And at at the chance of sounding a little irreverent, and that stuff you ain't gonna learn at Juilliard or U of T, right?
no shit.
You gotta come to FreeMe Portal if you want to
That's
learn
right.
that stuff, right? That's not that no. And so you and I, we had to go to our little Juilliards and we had to go to our U of T and we had to do all of our, to realize
Not currently taught in school. The most
no.
important knowledge, wisdom, is not currently taught in school. Although, if our friend Teresa has anything to do with it,
Mm,
it won't be long.
all the power to Teresa.
Yeah, we have
100%.
some amazing friends. Teresa was in the gray space too. She's an
Uh,
educator. And, I mean, look, everything has to change, guys, right? All the systems are collapsing, and well, system is maybe not the right word. New things are being born right alongside those things that are collapsing, that are representative of the frequency that we're entering into now. So that's why we just encourage everyone to visit the Free Me portal, and remember that me is free.
Yes, me is free. And also, if you would like to be a facilitator, if you want to
Right.
offer, right, your beautiful gifts, this is the place. Like, come on down,
That's right.
This
Get
is
in touch with Renata. All
and
of the
and
information is
Claire,
there.
yeah, no, I'm gonna set you up with your own email, my dear.
Oh, good. Surprise.
Uh, and yeah, no, please, 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 please. The more of us that are there, and I'm also brainstorming. I think I brought this up in our group. I'm kind of brainstorming having like for those who are just on the periphery, going just they just want to dip their toe in. Don't necessarily. It's like, whoa, okay, this stuff is like real. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but but I know, on the other hand, I know that, what's going on. There's something wrong with this picture.
Hmm.
So I'm and maybe you and I can further brainstorm this or work together on this, but I want to set up a sort of a free, half hour chat that you can have with a facilitator or with someone who is a volunteer. So, for example, not everyone is going to be a facilitator, but let's say, for example, those some of the people that you and I know that are, have advanced knowledge, let's just say, right,
Hmm.
might be willing to offer 15, 20 minutes, half an hour of their time once a week to chat with someone. Just say, hey, yeah, you're not crazy. You know, it's
Yep.
okay. Just tell me what you're feeling and, let me hear you. And without any judgment, and with perhaps some suggestions of where they might be interested, might places that might be of interest to them to go further and explore. Right? It may not be jumping into having a session with Erica and finding out that you were in the Nachtwaffen, right? Yeah, that we'll take that one step at a time. But you may want to explore, getting rid of the interference and dissolving the resistance and getting a unity bubble. You may want to do Claire's course, finding out what the matrix is and working your way through it. And so anyway, there's going to be all kinds of things that we're going to develop together, and because we're going to try to reach out to everyone that needs this, because as you say, and as you very well know, 2026 is going to be a pivotal year when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so people need a place to be able to land, and let's
yes,
hope
that's
that,
right.
yeah, and let's
A
hope that
soft place
a
to land.
soft place to land,
Yeah.
and not be left out there going, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And let's hope that we get a hands up or leg up. What is it? Leg up from some others who have more prominent positions in the community. And but I trust that it's going to reach exactly who it needs to reach when it needs to reach them. And we're going to be good, Claire. We're going to be really
Oh, yeah, yeah. I trust that too. Well, Renata, before we wrap things up,
good.
you've got a new volume of poetry that's
Oh yeah,
coming
that
out,
too.
as if you didn't have enough going on. Tell us about
Mm.
that poetry and the Love in the Galaxy series that you're also
Mhm.
working on. This is a
Mhm.
really intriguing topic. Can you touch on that?
Absolutely. Well, the poetry was written, and there's a swack more that I haven't, but most of it, I started writing in about 2005, uh,
Mm.
2003, 2005. And it became actually, I was sitting down, Toronto Hazelton Lanes, right? Do you know that mall, Hazelton Lanes, and people know.
Oh, yeah,
And they
yeah.
used to have a cafe downstairs, and I would go there because the only thing I could afford when I was a student was like a bagel and a coffee for lunch. And but I didn't want to go to like the cafeteria in the university because that was just like too gauche. So I went to the poshest place I could go for a coffee and a bagel, which is all I could afford. But
Nice.
at least it was this environment where it was far away from the faculty and that whole zeitgeist, and it was another zeitgeist, but it was a very peaceful place. And I remember pulling out. I was just going to write some notes of what I needed to do that day, and I started to write, like, this poetry started coming out. Uh, who the hell is talking? And then I realized it took about a couple of years for this to develop, but I thought, okay, I'm going to go with it. And I realized that if I was processing something, like if some shit went down and I was like having a crappy day or some, relationship went sideways or whatever, I could sit down and this voice would come out and it would describe exactly what was going on. And there would be no way that in my in my 3D brain that I would be able to write that. There's just no
Huh.
way. No way. If you tied me to a chair and held me at gunpoint, there is no way that I would be able to create that. It had to come from a place where I just let go and let my hand go.
Mm.
And so I realized that this was part of my soul speaking to me, my greater self speaking to me. But and it was a way for me to process um, what was going on in the 3D world. And I always felt better after I wrote it out. So this became a thing. And then from like 2000 to 2010, I started to feel into, like, there's a couple of stanzas on Romeo and Juliet, Gilbert Osmond, some literary works, et cetera, et cetera. It was just the feeling. There's a poem about Sylvia Plath, but mostly it's about um, the human attachment in love and in relationships. Also, there's stanzas about my daughter and how motherhood affected me, and how I felt about it at the time. And even stuff like, I wish that my daughter was able to give her own name, because she's not that energy, that the name that I gave her, that's not her. She's just so much more than that, right? But you're bound by the convention and by this kind of thing. So that collection, I was impulsed a couple of months ago to polish and to write literary synopses, for just to make it easier for people to understand what the heck I'm talking about in each one of those. It's just easier. You have to guess, just read the damn thing. And I'm using that as a springboard to further explore human attachment and love, and galactic love, and wise love. Because Dr. Andrea Martin, who is, you would know her from her channel, Growing Up Alien.
Mhm.
Um, she and her husband Ika have a galactic relationship. They are husband and wife, even though he is in a different dimension, and they communicate telepathically and telepathically. I should say, it's the actual word, empathy, not
Tell empathically. Yeah.
telepathy.
Okay. And right about now, some people are going, oh, wait a minute, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Interdimensional husband. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that file that in the same chapter as that Nachtwaf in SSP stuff. Yeah, I get it. The point is, there is no time. We are all here at the same time, different dimensions, having relationships. Ultimately, our exploration is always going to be in relationships. And like that movie, Julia Roberts, Eat, Pray, Love, right? The
Hmm.
opening, remember the opening dialogue? She's talking about her friend who was, you know, a therapist or something. And she said, doesn't matter all the heartbreak that, she's dealing with, these refugees that, have been through untold horrors, dying on boats and everything. And she says, without without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely every single conversation eventually comes down to, that guy on the boat, he don't like me no more.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
all comes down to love, because we are love, and uh, we are complete in ourselves, but we complete ourselves through love relationships, and we express ourselves through love relationships. And I believe, as does Dr. Andrea, that humanity has been shortchanged and manipulated in that area, as does Lee, in a huge way, so that we can't have conscious relationships. So we do suffer unconsciously in our human relationships, because humans have been programmed to be in polar sides. So men have been programmed to be a certain way, women have been programmed to be a certain way, and those ways, they don't meet. So the exploration that I want to undergo here is to check in and have a very sobering look at relationships in the 3D, relationships in human relationships, and how they have been tampered with on a gross scale, and compare them to the philosophies and the practices of wise love in a more evolved
Mm.
paradigm. So, how is a relationship viewed in an evolved paradigm where there hasn't been the interference?
Yes, yes. Well, my teacher, Satyvrati, would always talk about ethical relationship. He
Mm-hmm.
said, the only relationship that we can have right now, that is the most evolved we can be right now, is to be in an ethical relationship. In other words, where both parties recognize that the purpose of relationship is growth.
Exactly.
And where when as long as we are supporting each other's growth and we're not playing games and we're transparent, then we're in a right relationship. Whether that relationship lasts or is of a moment, is secondary. That's the only way that we can grow out of the imposition of, this idea that you've got one true love, or when you get together, you got to stay together forever, or, these sort of inherited or unexamined assumptions that we have
Yeah,
about
exactly.
relationship, right? So,
Exactly.
and we are where we are in our evolution and in our emotional understandings or understandings, and so most people are healing from trauma of
Mm-hmm.
one kind or another.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to recognize that our relationships are going to be colored by that, and
Exactly.
that's the
Exactly.
ethical approach, is to admit that.
And you hit the nail right on the head, Claire, because that's the last thing that I'd like to share. And I mean, aside from that series that I'm doing with on the conscious relationships, et cetera, galactic Earth love and galactic love, I'm also working on a course, an offering that is an exploration of the attainment of Homo Luminous. So, what is
Mm.
Homo Luminous? What is that? That's not a genetic replacement.
Yes.
Homo Luminous is and I wrote it down just to make sure I didn't mess it up, is a functional state of human consciousness with biological, emotional, cognitive, and ethical systems where they all come into coherence.
Mm. Yeah, that makes total sense.
So
And
I'm kind of
actually,
poking at the bear from all kinds of different.
yeah, yeah, I love that because, we could say that Homo sapiens, where we've been, is a distorted or deformed
Mhm.
version of
Huge,
what we really are, right?
hugely
Homo
distorted.
luminous is the revelation of the truth of what we are, isn't it?
Back to who we truly are, back to the light. Revealing, it's not like, it's never about putting on a new outfit. It's about peeling off the layers of the onion that don't need to be there anymore until
Yeah.
you reveal the truth, the kernel of the essence, which is the all pervasive beauty, grace, joy, love that is our birthright and essence.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
it.
Wow. I don't know. Mic drop on that one. Wow. Epic conversation in the gray space. There's so many things to explore.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
such a privilege having you here.
Oh,
Um,
mutual, mutual, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Uh, well, and let's keep talking. Well, it's like you and I are going to
Oh,
keep talking. I
yeah.
know that,
Oh,
but like,
yeah.
as things
Time to
progress.
roll up your sleeves, Claire. Yeah, roll up your
Yeah.
sleeves. Yeah,
As
yeah,
things progress with the FreeMe portal and everything, we'll keep talking and
yeah.
have you come back on and
Yay.
yeah, see where
Yay.
we're at with
Yeah.
stuff, right?
And you're going to be doing a lot of that all over the place. And I can't wait because you're
Yeah, well, guys, you'll see me talking about the FreeMe Portal on my Instagram and all of
yay.
that stuff.
Yay.
Yeah, so I hope you come and stop by the
Yeah,
portal
yeah.
and check it out, and check out all of Renata's links in the notes, and the important work that she's doing. If you feel a connection with her, you want to explore what she does, get yourself a unity bubble, and yeah, and explore her offerings. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much, Renata,
the
for being here
offer.
in the grace
Thank
space.
you. Thank you. Thank you. With so much grace in my heart.
I can feel that.
Yes. Thank you so, so much. Okay. Till next time.
Yeah.
See you on the other side, as we say.
Right on. What I love most about this conversation is not the concepts, it's the field. It's the recognition that no matter how complex the cosmology seems to become, no matter how many dimensions we reference, no matter how wild the narrative appears, we're always coming back to one thing: remembrance. Remembrance of who we really are. The unity bubble, the rose breath, Homo Luminous, all of it points back to coherence. And the FreeMe portal is emerging as a very real, very grounded expression of that remembrance, a place where facilitators and teachers and explorers can gather, not in opposition to the world, but in conscious participation with it. A soft place to land, a node of awakening, a reminder that me is free already. It's the free me, right? So if you felt a sense of curiosity or resonance or maybe even resistance listening to this episode, I invite you to explore further. You can visit the FreeMe portal through the link in the show notes. You can explore the Unity bubble process. You can simply sit with whatever was activated in you today, and remember, you are not a pawn on the board here unless you choose to be, right? You are a fractal of source within your own toroidal field of creation. You are the creator. Thank you for being here in the grace space. Until next time, stay sovereign, stay curious, stay luminous, and as always, walk in grace. You've been listening to the Grace Space. To amplify this field, you're welcome to like, subscribe, or share. Thank you.